Hello, welcome to Mondays on Money, Markets, and Motivation. So we have desiccation as our word of the day. Desiccation, the removal of moisture from something. So that is our word of the day. Now we are going over to our FinViz column. This is how the cryptocurrencies are looking. This was Friday as they have bounced a little bit today. 114,959 on Bitcoin. Ethereum is 3683, almost getting back to the 3,700 level. And XRP is at $3. So that is our story there. Let us go over to our stocks. Our stocks, Microsoft gets a big lift, NVIDIA, the financials, communication services. So here we are. A lot of big bounces today. Energy was up on Friday and it is down today, people taking their profits. So that is our story with that one. Stop our share here. So we're at all-time highs, and will Friday's sell-off become a long-term strategy or long-term potential for the market? Who knows? Nobody really knows. But this is a good place to shelter your money. It goes up when the market goes up, does not go down when the market goes down, goes up, just keeps going up the stairs. Beats index investing by about 5%, 12.58 to 7.57%. And we did pros and cons on annuities over the weekend. If you want to check that out, you can go look at our Saturday post. And that is our story there. Now we are going to go over to our charts. So this is MicroStrategy. It's doing a little bounce here. I would not go back in at this point. It had a pretty dangerous sell-off from 457 to from 457 to 365. So I would like to see it set up again and possibly break out. So that is the news there. It looks like the power trend is off for the moment. So that is the story with MicroStrategy. Let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ gets a nice bounce, fills the gap here. 85% of gaps fill. And when they fill, a lot of times they tend to go in the direction that it went in. So we'll just have to keep our eyes peeled on that one. Here's the equal weight in the NASDAQ, just like the NASDAQ is filling the gap, up 1.65%. S&P 500, just like the NASDAQ, is filling the gap, up 1.41%. RSP, I would assume the same thing. Yes, has filled the gap, up 1.26%. The Russell 2000 small cap index doing the exact same thing, butts its head up against its 20-day moving average. And our Dow Jones, all indexes are doing the exact same thing. So that is our story there. Let us go over to the VIX. I'll adjust our chart here. The VIX is selling off. We got a gap down and then closes on its low right near the 50-day moving average. So that is our VIX. Here is our 10-year Treasury, continues its downtrend. And it is off 0.47%. Its yield is at 4.2. Look at the 20-year. It's at 3.5, and it's down 0.2%. Take a look at XLF. Doesn't quite fill the gap, but it is up pretty strong, 0.86%. KBWB, we take out Warren Buffett's fund, and I believe Visa and MasterCard, and that's what we get with KBWB. It's up 1.32%, trying to fill the gap. Energy is down 0.2%. Take a look at aerospace. Aerospace sold off on Friday and then bounced right back, and it is continuing its uptrend. Look at Joby, look at that move, up nearly 20%. This is Archer Aviation, up 7.47%. And this is the drone maker, up 2.87%. Communications gets a nice rise off of its 20-day moving average. Look at this one, take off. Utilities, wow, 2.2%, gets to the top of its pivot zone. It is definitely still in the power trend here. The 10-day is above the 20-day. 20-day is above the 50, and the 50 is above the 200. And look at this relative strength line, just keeps going up. Let's look at Utes. That one keeps going up. See if we can. Can't quite find the other one. So this is the real estate. Really, it's up 0.82% today, butting its head up against its 50-day moving average. Biotech, up a little over 1%. The other biotech is up 1.7%. This one looks a lot better, this ETF. IGV, our software index, trying to fill the gap here, up 2% today. Technology, fill in the gap there, up 1.73%. Infrastructure, trying to fill the gap as well, up 0.84%. Semiconductors, they have filled the gap there, up 1.86%. Take a look at NVIDIA. It's up 3% today. Broadcom, 2.5%. AMD up 2.8%. On to Jets. Trying to recover a little bit, up 2%. It's above the 200-day moving average. Industrials, trying to fill the gap there, up 0.9%. Healthcare continues its rebound right here, up 1.3%. Take a look at Eli Lilly. Continues its strong move on Friday. Consumer staples, up 0.55%. Building materials fills the gap, up 1.22%. Mining and metals, up 1.91%. Home builders crosses the 200-day moving average, up 1.63%. Pretty strong move on Friday and not quite as strong today, but we'll see where that goes. And finally, uranium. Uranium fills the gap as well. Here's a big juggernaut in uranium, up 3.25%. In Denison Mines, a little tiny guy in the mining of uranium, up 3.92% today. So that is a look there. So now we're going to move over where the big money is flowing. Interesting. Monolithic Power System follows up on its strong move on that. It was definitely a breakout on Friday, and it continues up today, up 5%. IDXX Laboratories, huge gap up, 27% on earnings of 17%. Look at that blue tower there. It just takes off, up 20% from the pivot in 375 days. Spotify gaps up 5.65% today. They didn't really like their earnings when it came out, but we got some buying coming into it today. Martin Marietta gaps up 4.12%. Earnings in 3 days. Elbit Systems. Looks like we got a breakout here. Breaks out into the pivot zone. Got a new high on the relative strength against the S&P 500, up 5.45%. Elbit Systems is an Israeli manufacturer of surveillance, land vehicle, and airborne electro-optical systems. Look at these good numbers over here. Earnings supposed to be up 18% this year, another 30% next year. ALNY Lamb Pharmaceuticals jumps up 4.25%. Interdigital keeps climbing, up 6.65%. Earnings came out at 43% last week. Reddit climbs above 200, up 6.88%. F5, I believe they came out last week. Some good numbers. They really jumped up, and they gapped down on the employment numbers, I guess. And then they gapped up today, up 4.31%. And HEICO jumps into the profit zone, and they are up 3.64%. And we're going to go over and take a look. Roblox up 3.45%. Roku sold off last week, and they get a bounce today, up 7%. Lyft is up today, up 4.18%. Earnings are in 2 days. So in the world news, President Donald Trump said he will announce a Federal Reserve governor and new jobs data statistician in the coming days. Adriana Kluger announced Friday that she would vacate her board of governors seat, which wasn't due to expire until January. President Trump is also pressuring India and China to stop buying oil from Russia and Iran. according to a report Monday. Investors should buy into the sell-off of U.S. stocks because of the robust earnings outlook for the coming year, according to Morgan Stanley strategist Michael Wilson. While the S&P 500 faces pressure from the weakening labor market and the tariff-related inflation that may delay Federal Reserve interest rate cuts, investors should view any pullbacks as a buying opportunity, Wilson wrote on a note on Monday. So on to consumer news. Energizer, quarter three EPS was 78 cents versus estimate 62 cents. It jumps up 26%. Tesla committee approves award of 96 million shares of restricted stock to CEO Musk, which likely removes an overhang and should solidify Musk as CEO for Tesla for a while. So that is that one. Let's take a look at what Tesla is doing today. It's up slightly, up 2.10% onto energy. OPEC agreed on Saturday to raise production of 548,000 barrels per day in August. BP PLC announces oil gas discovery of Boomerang, I believe that's how you say it, Boomerang, prospect in offshore Brazil. BP drilled exploration well 1 BP 13 SPS at the Boomerang block located in Santos Basin. So the well was drilled to a total depth of 5,855 meters. And BP is up on that news, up 2.56%. Kodiak Gas Services will replace NV5 in the S&P 500 small cap effective prior to the opening of Wednesday, August 6th. So they tried to rise a little bit, 2.56, and had some selling come into it after that. See what NV5 does. Initially sold off, and then they come back to unchanged. On to Sandridge Energy, files 500 million mixed security shelf, and they sell off 0.10%. And then Shell downgraded to hold from HSBC. On to financials. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway reported a modest 4% drop in quarter two operating earnings, citing pressure from the U.S. tariffs. The conglomerate posted operating profits of $11.16 billion, and they sell off pretty strong, 3.13%. So if you take those out of the XLF into the KBWB, that's why KBWB is doing a little better. Coinbase was downgraded to sell from neutral at Compass Point with a price target of 248. It still went up slightly today, almost 1%. On to Lowe's. Reported a rise in quarter two profit on Monday, helped by higher investment income and strong performance in insurance unit. Net income attributable to Lowe's rose to $391 million, or $1.87 per share, and it lifts off. It's up 2.89, getting to the kind of the top of its pivot zone. Real estate investment firm Cortland Partners will buy a 19 asset portfolio from ALNY Communities for $1.6 billion in cash. We've got a huge gap up in ALNY Communities at 8.74%. And then we go to Open Door Technologies, announced it received written notice from the NASDAQ that the company has regained compliance with the NASDAQ minimum bid price requirement, getting above $2 here. up, it's up 18% today. On to healthcare. We looked at ALNY before, upgraded to outperform at Oppenheimer with a $490 price target. I'll just take a quick look here as it continues going up. Waters, quarter two EPS 295 versus 294, and they sell off slightly on that news. The US FDA top vaccine official, Vinay Prasad, has left the agency after just 3 months as the director of Center for Biological Evaluation and Research. Industrials and minerals. We move over to Boeing. Boeing is bracing for its first strike in nearly 3 decades at its St. Louis area defense factories, and they are down slightly on this news. Union members rejected the company modified contract offer, as 32 machinists are set to walk off the job around midnight. Chemours, DuPont, and Corteva reached an agreement with the state of New Jersey to comprehensively resolve all environmental claims, including PFAs, DuPont, Corteva, to buy Chemours insurance rights for $150 million, as settlement payments total $875 million over 25 years, starting in 2026. So let us look at Chemours. Chemours gets above its 50-day moving average, up 6.43%. DuPont and Corteva. DuPont is up slightly, and so is Corteva. We didn't get to look at BA because I typed a V instead of a B. Even with that strike, it's still up 0.3% today. We looked at Joby Aviation earlier, is said to weigh a deal for helicopter rideshare operator Blade, the news reported. Blade gaps up, but then sells off. It's still up 18.5%. Seven associations of shippers or freight railroad customers have demanded regulators to block or put more conditions on the proposed merger between Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern. According to the Financial Times, Union Pacific is up 1.2%, and Norfolk Southern is also up about the same amount. China has begun to limit the flow of critical materials to Western defense manufacturers, which has delayed production and led companies to sear the world for stockpiles of minerals needed. On to technology, media, and telecom. Amphenol is finalizing a deal to buy CommScope's connectivity and cable unit for $10.5 billion. Amphenol, I typed in the wrong code. Amphenol is up 3.94, and CommScope, huge gap up nearly 87.4% on this news. Huge volume. And look at their earnings, up 900, almost 1,000%. This is the largest volume since the base. This is a pretty long base here. And on to Spotify. Spotify, we looked at earlier, said it would increase the monthly price of its premium individual subscription in selected markets from September. The subscription price will rise to 11.99 euros or $13.86 per month from 10.99 euros in markets including South Asia, the Middle East, Africa, Europe, Latin America, and the Asia Pacific region. So that is our story there. So our quote of the day comes from Minaj Aurora. Saving is a great habit, but without investing and tracking, it just sleeps. So there you have it. That's our show for Monday, August the 4th. Hope everybody goes out there and has a great day, has a great start to your week. And if you can help somebody in need, please do so. Let us go out there and continue to work together to make this a better world to live in. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.